Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going over the newest Colourpop collection that I believe is launching Thursday. I don't have a ton of information on it right now. I just have the products, and there seems to be a lot of interest in this collection. When I was looking on Trendmood, it had a bunch of likes on it, and it's basically some new neutral palettes from Colourpop, and I feel like I never get tired of neutral palettes, so I thought this would be just a nice kind of everyday collection to review for you guys. So let's go ahead and get started. So they sent me this little card. It says Hold the Stone. So this is the Hold the Stone collection. It says get that natural glam look with our new Hold the Stone collection. There is 2 palettes here, and there is also some lip cream. So it's not a huge collection, but I'm really excited to be going over these palettes today. So let's take a look at these. I'm not sure what the price will be. They are a little bit of a different shape than the typical Colourpop palettes. So this first one is called Set in Stone, and this is kind of the warm toned neutral palette, and I did wear mine. I'm doing 2 looks today as well, so mine is used, and here is a look at it. So you do get 10 shades in here. So I guess it's kind of set up in a way like the Roaring Hearts palette that was pretty popular from Colourpop. But yes, we do have this gorgeous warm neutral palette. Now what's interesting here is actually there is a cream shadow in these palettes, which is different for Colourpop to do. I don't know if they have done that at all before, so seeing that kind of made me think if they were trying to dupe the Patrick Ta palette, the Major Dimension. So I will be doing comparisons of that one at the end of the video, but that's kind of what it seems like. Since it has that cream in the same spot, Patrick Ta has 2 creams, but then all the shimmers on top, all the mattes on the bottom. I'll go ahead and insert swatches for you guys of this palette. Now we also have a cool toned one, and this one is called the Twist of Slate, and this is what this one looks like. So it is very cool toned. It even has some more blue toned grays in here, and some of the shimmers look a little more warm when you get them on the eyes, but same kind of setup. It has a cream here, and then mattes on the bottom, shimmers on top. So kind of something new and different for Colourpop to do. And of course, also in the collection, we have 4 of these lip creams. This is the outer packaging, so it does look like kind of a light gray textured stone. The first shade I have in the lip creams, this one is called Gone Graphite. So this is Gone Graphite. We have this dark brown called Call It Quits. There on the bottom is Call It Quits. I think this is the lightest shade, and it is Monolith. There it is swatched. It is a little more warm. And then the one I have on my lips, this one is called Cornerstone. Here is all 4 colors swatched, beautiful shades. I'm really liking this color range here of neutrals, one for pretty much every skin tone. So that is a look at the collection really quick. I did do 2 looks. I'm going to do 1 look with each palette while I got ready today. I got the cool tone look, the warm tone look. I'm just going to do a voiceover with those because I was getting ready this morning, doing a photo shoot, and I was like in a rush. So doing a voiceover for both of those looks, we can kind of see how the palettes performed. So jumping into the Set in Stone warm palette first, I am doing that cream color called Rock Solid. Just wanted to try this in the crease to see what it did as like a base. It blended out okay, not super creamy. And then I went over top with a matte brown. This one is so chiseled, just to kind of layer that on top of the creams and see if they build. It seemed to apply fine over top of that. Next, going in with the dark brown in Steady. I put this in the outer corner. It was very pigmented, so I had to like go switch between both eyes to kind of make it even and blend it out. That shade was just a little bit powdery with some fallout, but it seemed to blend out okay. For the lower lash line, I went ahead and used this warmer brown as well. It has more red tones in it just to smoke that. And then I went in with a shimmer. This one is Concrete. These shimmers are amazing. I did use a wet brush with this one, and it applied it beautifully. And I did pop it into the inner corner as well to get this gorgeous finished look. Obsessed. I thought this palette performed beautifully. Those shimmers are just out of this world. Next up, for the Twist of Slate palette, I tried the same thing with the cream color in the crease, but it really did not show up on me. That one's called In the Stars. So I just went over top of it with one of the mattes. This is in Take a Chance, just kind of blending that into the crease as like my middle shade. I was going to deepen it up though, so I went ahead and took the Night Vision color, which is one of the darker grays in the palette. I did have a little bit of trouble blending this one, but it could be because I did have to wipe my makeup off and like start over. Sometimes that gives me trouble. For the outer corner, of course, I did take the darkest shade here and blended this out. Again, it did take some extra blending here. I feel like that's kind of typical with cool tones, but the other palette I felt like was just a little bit easier for sure. But I really wanted to get the depth with this one in the outer corner to really create that smoky eye effect. I did take the cream again, and this time I used it to cut the crease, and I think I like that a little bit more, especially with this palette, because it's kind of like a concealer. And then I went in with the lower lash line shade here, just mixed a couple of the mattes, and then I went back to cover the cream we used with the shade Carbon, which is this smoky silver. It's probably the least shiny metallic in this palette, but it still is very beautiful. And then I brightened up the inner corner with Mica, such a gorgeous shade. I love that one in the inner corner. And then I did apply my lip color as well from the collection to finish off the look. Alright guys, so for my final thoughts here on just the quality and overall theme of these palettes, I think these are really nice neutral palettes to have in your collection. It's nice to have one warm, one cool, and I did think the quality was really good on these, especially with those shimmers. They just were absolutely beautiful. You could just see how they sparkled and shined on the eyes. I was very impressed. I even tried out those creams, which I'm already getting some like fallout into the creams, so those are gonna definitely get messy since I don't have a little cover on them, but it was interesting to see like what they were going for here. I personally think the best way to use it as like a concealer or like a cut crease for your eyes. I tried them in the crease and they were okay, but they're pretty light, so they don't really show up very well, but they do blend out if you want to use it as a base color and then put your matte on top of it, kind of like how I do with the Patrick Ta palette. But I don't know, I think it works a little bit better just for cutting the crease to get that shimmer to really pop on the eyes is what I used it for, and it doesn't seem to crease up or anything like that, so it was decent. I thought everything applied very well, especially in the Set in Stone palette. This is great quality. My only gripe I think is with the darker brown, which is I think Steady. That one I noticed a little bit of fading, which I tend to notice with sometimes the Colourpop mattes with the really dark colors. It looks very dark when you put it on, but it does kind of fade throughout the day, so that's kind of my only gripe with that. But it's still a beautiful palette, and I think you can definitely achieve some awesome neutral looks with it. And of course, the Twist of Slate, same thing. I thought it performed really well. Was very impressed. I think this one's just a tiny bit harder to work with since it is those cooler tones. They can be a little bit more messy, but they seem to be very blendable. Now, do you have these colors in your collection already? Probably. With neutral palettes, it's kind of impossible. You pretty much own everything already, but it just kind of depends if you want to have neutral palettes from other brands, other formulas to try. I think these are really good. I did want to do some comparisons as to what I have in my like Colourpop collection, but I'm not going to do too many just because there's going to be so many dupes with these. So when I was looking at the Set in Stone palette, I was thinking the Coconuts palette would be similar, but it turns out the Coconuts is actually more similar to the Twist of Slate, but not exact dupes. Coconuts runs a little bit more cool than this palette here. They're not really similar at all. The most similar I have in my collection, now I do not keep every single Colourpop palette, so I do not have all of them to compare, is actually the Wild Child palette from them. This is one of my favorites. I got some similar tones here, but I don't have the lighter tones that are in here. Those are kind of missing in this, but I can pretty much get the same deeper bronzy looks with these, but they're definitely not identical. I did do some swatch comparisons, but that's the closest one that I have. Now, I was thinking if you guys have the Bare Necessities palette from Colourpop, the Mega palette, I feel like that one might be very similar to this. I do not have that palette, but that one I feel like could be maybe the closest dupe. I just feel like this formula is definitely improved and it's really nice and smooth. So maybe they would be different formula-wise. And then I wanted to see how close it was to the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions palette. Mine's like totally a mess because I use this all the time, but I just thought they were similar, and I kind of think that this was inspired by the Patrick Ta in a way. Like, look at those. I did swatch them side by side and they turned out to be a little bit different. Of course, the cream shadows do not match up at all in any way, shape, or form, and they kind of swatch similar too, but the Patrick Ta definitely has a different texture. I feel like his shadows have a little bit more glitteriness to them. They're just very sparkly, and I feel like the darker tones have more pigment to them and more staying power. Of course, it is a more expensive palette. It's probably like 4 times the price of this one, but in a way I could see that they were inspired by this. I just thought that was kind of cool, so I wanted to share that. Even though they're not exact dupes, I could not find the exact shades in each palette. And then as far as the Twist of Slate palette goes, I did do some swatch comparisons, and I didn't really have one Colourpop palette that had all the colors identical. The Going Coconuts is a little similar with some of the shimmer tones in here, but it definitely does not have those cool tone grayish mattes. As well as that's taupe. I feel like the shimmers again are similar, but it's missing these kind of blue tone grays that the new Twist of Slate has. I was thinking you could kind of get those looks if you either pull in maybe the Darth Vader palette from Colourpop. It has kind of those blue tone grays. Maybe the Mandalorian a little bit, but I don't know. I think this one is a little bit not so blue toned as this new one. And then I wanted to pull out my Natasha Denona Glam to see if these were kind of similar, because I feel like maybe these colors were inspired by each other. But I did get some similar tones again with the shimmers, but again, Natasha does not have those blue tone grays in here. I was thinking again with one of the Colourpop Mega Palettes that I don't have, the Stone Cold Fox, that maybe those would be similar here. I don't know for sure if it has those blue tone grays, but I was thinking you can maybe get some similar looks there. I know that's a loved palette by Minnie from Colourpop. So those are just a few palette comparisons I wanted to do. There's probably tons more I could show out there, but I just wanted to do a few that maybe were inspired by the palettes. And of course with the lip products, I love the lip creams. This moussey formula is so nice on the lips. Love the new colors as well. I think this one I have on is gorgeous. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this new collection. I think it's really nice, and definitely for all those neutral toned lovers out there that want a good everyday palette at an affordable price, whether it be from the warm tones to the cool tones. It kind of has it all here. So I really wanted to share this one with you guys. I'm curious to see your thoughts down below if you will be picking these up. Of course, I do have my affiliate link and my discount code 5LeahJanae that you guys can use to shop. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.